And this concept of string was actually talking about how to deal with text data using Python. Normal text variable, if you want to make and store it, how do you deal with that? And what are all the processes you can perform on the text data? That is called strings. So some proper idea we have got about this concept yesterday. More of the things we'll see today. And after completing the string, we'll move forward to another data types which are there. Now, yesterday we were talking about these, some of the methods or built-in functions that are there. What do we mean by built-in function? What do we mean by methods? I'll explain that in the further sessions when we talk about the functions and methods. But for now, just understand that when we take a text data, if you want to do something on that, or if you want to get some information out of that string, we can take help of these things, these methods or built-in functions. So in that concept, I discussed about the length of that. How can you check the length of a text? Length of a text means whatever statements you have made, whatever text you have created, how many characters are there? You can check the length of those many characters. Second, I was talking about how can you convert any text into all upper cases? How can you convert your text into all lower cases? These were the things we were talking about. Now, our text was this. So we'll see what more things we can perform on that. So I'll do this now. And okay. So we have our text. I hope you were clear about this concept that we discussed yesterday. Correct? If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Or at the end of the session also, you can ask any doubt properly. I'll try to explain if something was not clear to you. Now, the next thing is the capitalize. What is the work of capitalize? The work of capitalize is to make the starting letter in entire string capital. So if I, let's say, create this word is equal to Python program. Like this, whatever I'm taking a text, whatever I'm taking, you can take any amount of words in that statement. It's a very small statement. If it's a very small text I have taken, but you can take any bigger statement. That is what we were talking about. You can take 50 lines, 100 lines of statement also. And there you can work with all of these things that we are talking about. Now, let's say I have this word. What is capitalize going to do? The capitalize is going to do this. Capitalize. So work of capitalize is to make the first character capital. If you want to make all the characters capital, you have upper dot upper. If you want to make all lowercase, all the characters as lowercase, you will have dot lower. And if you want to make the first character of the whole text as capital, you use dot capitalize. But now you would say that I want to make the first character of each word capital. How do we do that? Making the first character of each word capital. For that purpose, we have this title. If you want to make the starting letter of every word in the string to be in capitals, we have this title. And what we do, I'll say word dot title. And now you can see here our P was small. In the program also, P was in small case. But now both of them has been converted into capital case with the title. Now these all methods or built-in functions that we are talking about, they help us modify the text with whatever condition we want. If we have done something, if we have got a text from somewhere, we pasted it here and we want to do something on that, we are using these methods and built-in function to make our text better, to modify our text with our liking. So after capitalize, we have dot title. And these are very simple to use because just you need to write the variable in which your text is stored. And when you take that variable, you need to write dot title and then the bracket. What does this mean, dot title and the bracket? Everything you'll understand by the end of this whole concept, whole scenario. But for now, just try to understand whatever you can. Dot title. After title, we have the next thing is count. There are few of them. Just let me talk about these few. And then we'll be talking about one very important concept, the another data type. To count, what we do in this, let's say I have a word. And in this word, I want to count for something. What I want to count? Any character. So when I write here word.count and small p is how many times this character is there. I want to count that. That you can count using this word.count. Not just a word, if you want to count this whole word, not just a character, you can count the whole word, how many times it is present there. So this will work with word.count and writing that word. Now, we talked about that a capital case and a small case are considered different in Python. A capital P and small p both are different. So when I write word.count and capital P, then it will tell me 0. So P is there, but a small p is there. Capital P is not there in my word, as you can take a look at it. And I think you remember when I try to do these things, word.capitalize, it will not do this change on the original data. It is just doing a change on the temporary data. If we want this to be done on the original data, we need to say the same variable, word is equal to word.capitalize. I think you remember those who were there yesterday, correct? This is what we need to do if you want to modify the original text. So word.count, to count something in the whole text. Just take a look at it, what we have done. Anytime you want me to explain something, just let me know. And I'll keep explaining all the concepts. Okay, what does count do is, count is going to actually count something, how many times it is present in the data. Whatever text you have taken, that text can be as big as you want, but in that text you want something to be found. So you have this word.count and you're writing this word, Python, complete Python. So it means that whatever word I have taken, this is a word, and we are searching for this complete word in this text. So Python is present only one times. One is means that how many times this Python is present in that text. If I write now P, so P means the character P is present 2 times. As you can see, one is at the start and one is here. 2 times the character P is present, the small p. Now, if I write py, whatever you write, it is going to search that py. How many times py is present? Py is present only 1 time. Because if I go here, after p, I have r. So this one will not be matched. Only this one is going to be matched because we have py. So you don't need to write the complete word. You don't need to write just one character. You can write multiple characters and that will be found. Now you have python. You can't say that search for p and t. This will not give you any answer because p and t are not together. Pyt you can search, but p and t you can't search together because they are not together. This is the concept that count does. Clear? This is the work of the count. Now after the count, we have the other methods, that is ends with. What is the work of ends with? If you want to search for any specific word that is ending with a particular character, that we can search. So if we have taken our word, what we can search, that word dot ends with m. Does it ends with m? It will tell us true. So how our word is this Python program. Does it end with m? Yes, it ends with m. So what we write, word dot ends with, and we write a character to check whether it is ending with m or not, whatever text you have taken. So it will go to the very end of the text and it will check the end character. Does it match with this character or not? Not only m, I can write am. Is it ending with am? Yeah, the last characters are am. I can write ram also. Is it ending with ram? Yes, it is. But I can't say that is it ending with a. It is not ending with it. A is in the second place from the end. So it is not ending with it. I can write am, that will be okay, but not a. This is the thing. Now, in here, you can give one character or multiple characters. You can also write, is it ending with program? Yes, it is ending with program. So you can check this. That is the purpose of ends with. Now, the opposite scenario of this is what? If you want to search for a particular text, is it starting with a particular character that you can check? So in this case, we'll write word dot starts with, and we'll say again, is it starting with P? It will say true. You can take a look. It is starting with P. Is it starting with PY? True. It is starting with PY. It is starting with PYT? Yeah. But if I say, is it starting with PR? No, it is not starting with PR. So whatever statement, whatever text you have taken, it will check with the very start of the text. That is it starting with these characters that we have given or not. That is the work of starts. So these are very simple and straightforward things. No complexity is there, no logic, just a straightforward answer. After the starts with, we have the next one, dot find. So we were talking about the very interesting concept of indexing the data. With indexing the data, we understood that how can we search for some character? If we have to access a particular word in the whole text, we need to first search their index values. We were talking about that. And I hope you remember this thing. Correct? So now we were talking about, let's say I have to get this program. I have a total text and we want to access this program word, which is inside my whole text. What we need to do first, we need to find out its starting position. What was that starting position? The starting index number. Index was a word that we used. So these numbers that you see for every character, these are index numbers. We use this index number to access the data. Now, you might say that here there were only two words, Python and program. So we can go and easily search for the index value for any particular word. But now say you have a text in which 500 words are there. If 500 words are there and you want to search for 350th word, whatever it is, you want to access that. So if 500 words are there, you can imagine how many index values will be there. In each word, many characters would be there, and you would have to count that. Is it possible to count these many characters? No, it won't be possible. So how do I find the starting index value of any particular word? So if I know the starting value, I can just go through and access it. Then it will be easy for us if I know the starting place. So that we do using these concepts. There are two things to find the index number of a particular text. So what we do now is, if I have this word and I need to search where this P program I need to access. So where this P is there. So I'll say word.find and I say P. So it will tell 0. 0 means it is searching for this P. If one character has been found, it will just give you that one character. So instead of that, I can say, where is PR? So now what you're saying that I want to access this word, not this word. So P is present in the starting character of both of them. So what find will do, it will search for the first instance wherever that is matching, and it will tell you that here it is matching. It won't see the other place where that word might be present. So in this case, if you want to find something like that, so you can say PR. PR is not present here, so PR will help you find out the location. Now it is giving you the starting index value of P, where this word P is starting. What we can do now, we can say word and 7 to end, and we will get our program. So this way you can find out the index number of any character from middle of the program, and you'll be able to do that. If you're searching for something that is not present, if let's say you're searching word.find and you say you're searching for Java, this word is not present. So what this find will do, it will tell you -1. -1 means this word that you're searching, it is not present in the data. That is what -1 means. This is the work of the find. Just take a look at it. Find will give you the index position of the starting character of that string that you want to find out. So when I've written PR, this is the word that was matched. Okay, this is the place where it was matched, PR. So it will tell you the index location of this P, where that substring is starting. So once you know the location, you can do the indexing very easily. A very similar concept, very similar to find, there is index. So what index does? Very similar, but with a small difference. What we do here is, we just have, we'll here also, we'll say word.index and we'll say PR. It will also give us the same thing. The find and index does the same. But now, what is the difference between find and index? The difference will be here. If I try to search for the index of Java, Java is not present. So what this do? It will just make an error. It will give us an error. But now this find was not giving us error. It was just giving us -1 to tell us that this thing does not present. Is it not? It is not present. But now index will give you an error. Now, what is the difference between them? Both of them are telling me basically the same thing, that it is not present. Whatever you are searching for, that word or that character is not present. What is the problem here? One very important thing you need to understand now. If you want to note it down, you can note it down. It will be very important. So let's say you are writing a program, and that program has, let's say, 2000 lines of code. You're working on that. Correct? You have 2000 lines of code that you're working on that. Exactly. Very good. Listen, that is the thing. So if you're working on a program and you have written something, then you want your 200 lines to be executed. And what I've told you, that when you're working with Python, Python is a dynamically typed language, or it is an interpreted language. What is the work of interpreted language? That if you have written this first line of code, second line of code, third line of code, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, what will happen? Python goes through them one by one. It will see the first statement, then second statement, then third statement, then fourth statement, fifth statement, one by one. Now, what is going to happen is, let's say it is running. First statement, okay, no issues, runs that. Comes to second statement, runs that, no issues. Comes to the third statement, no issues, run that. But when it comes to the fourth statement, there is an error. Let's say we have written this code, and this code has shown me this error. What will happen now with Python is that your complete program execution will stop at this place. It will not move ahead to any other line of code. And now what will happen if you have written such a thing in a software that is being used by the users on the desktop or a mobile application or on the internet, anywhere, we have written something like that. If you're using .index, it will give us an error. When you get an error, your program execution stops. So that can be very that can be very you can say bad experience for the user. You don't want a user to have a bad experience. Your program should not stop just it is running and at the place it is halting. It should not happen. The continuous flow should be there. That is what makes a good experience for the user. So that is why if you don't want that a program should stop in the middle at some place like that, you don't use index and you use find for that purpose. But let's say you are running this program for the debugging purpose. You have just created this program and you want to find out where these errors might happen, where the program might give us an error. You're searching for these. So you can check word.index. What will happen? Your program will stop here. Python will tell you, fix this line of code, then we will move forward. So that will help you to find the bug and fix that. So like this, we'll be talking about multiple of the scenarios where there might be errors. And down the line, we'll be talking about this production code, how a production code is written. And in that production code, we'll see that how to deal with these problems. If suddenly an error is happening and we don't have any option to deal with that error, how do we take another route? If you're going through this and going through this, if a problem comes here, we don't want to stop here. So we'll say whenever you encounter an error, you take a round route, just avoid that problem and continue your flow. So we'll be talking about a concept called as exception handling, which is very important concept in production. Okay, exception handling. If exceptions like this, if errors like this happen and we can't deal with them, whatever we do, and they might come. So what we do in that case, so that our program does not stop. This exception handling is one such thing which is used in production cases. If -1 is there, if you have used filed, then it will continue. You can see here it is not given any error. It would continue. This is the thing to understand. Let's see the next concept. The next is that if you have any text and you want to see that whether any text is there which contains numbers. So containing a number in text might be somewhere false or somewhere it might be true. But for whatever reason you want to check whether digits are present in the string or not, in the text or not. You can check that using this. You have to write word dot is digit. So what it will say? It will say a false, that there is no digit present. All of them are just characters. This is the work of is digit. It's a very simple, straightforward. The next one in this concept is replace. If you have any particular thing, if you want to replace a particular character or the whole word in your text, you have taken an article which has 500 lines of text or 1,000 lines of statement, and you want to replace something there. What will you do? You will just say word dot replace. And what do we have? We have Python program in that, if you remember. In our word, we have a program. So instead of program, I want that there should be programming. So what I write now, word dot replace program and programming. So if I combine this find and replace, can you see, have you used something in any of the softwares where you can recall, okay, this scenario we have used somewhere. In Excel will be there, in Notepad will be there, in Word will be there. There are multiple places that something like this will work. So what is happening? Many of these softwares are written in Python. A part of Python is used to make those softwares. So very similar to this code is used in the background to do the task. Correct? It is going to replace all of the words which are programmed, and it will replace all of them with programming. All of them. Not just the first word. So that is what is going to happen, Python program. Correct? That is the scenario of this, the replace. So we just need to write word dot replace program and replace with this word program. Similarly, if you want to replace any particular character, that also you can replace. You can say word dot replace, and you can replace small p with capital P. That also will be done. So whatever you want to replace one character, you want to replace complete word, everything is possible with this replace. No, deletion will not happen in the text. I have told you that once you have created this string, that string is this Python program. Python program. So in this case, I can't say that from this text, cut out this program. It can't happen. You can't do this. If I want to say that this is the text and I just want Python in it, some way cut it out, this program. It will not happen yet. Why it will not happen? Because I told you that string has a property of immutability. So for that reason, this thing does not happen. Yeah, so we can take the substring and assign it back to the word. That will only be the way you can do that. Correct? So you do the slicing of this. Once you do the slicing and you can assign it back to the same word, it will do that task. Correct? So anyone who has to do something like this, that from Python program, this is the text, you want to remove the program word completely from this variable. This variable word has this text. If you want to replace program, what will you do now? You'll say first word, and you will say 0 to 6. So if I say 0 to 6 now, this is just what you want to keep. So when you keep just the Python, what will happen? The space and the program will be gone. And this is how you modify any particular word. You first use the slicing concept to access that particular word, and then you assign it back to the same variable. This is how you can modify that. This is the only way. Correct? That is the thing. Now, what is essentially doing? It is doing the same thing. Like one box has this word Python program. Python program. In this box, this word is there. When you're doing word and 0 of 6, it will create another memory in which just Python is there. And by doing this assignment, what you're saying now, word that variable which was holding the location of this now should hold the location of this, and that is the way these modifications will be done. So you need to be very clear about these things that is happening. It will help you a lot to write the efficient code, to write a better code. This is the thing we have done. Now the next thing is called strip. Strip is going to do a very important task. Let's see. Many times what will happen that if you have created, let's say I create a new word. I create a new word and I have written here Python program. This is my word. What I have done, there are spaces at the start of the word and there are spaces at the end of the word. This is happening. Now, when you check this new word, this is the thing. Now, you don't want these spaces, but because of any of the reason, because of any mistake that you might have done, these spaces have come up. What you do with these spaces, you can strip it out using very easy way. So you say word dot strip, new word dot strip. Now just take a look what has happened. So the work of strip is to remove any leading and trailing white spaces and the new line characters. So now this strip has just gone to the start of the text and it has seen whether there are some spaces or not. And that spaces are called white spaces. And then it goes to the end of the data and it checks whether there are spaces at the end or not. So if the space is at the start or at the end, wherever it is going to clear it out to make your data proper. That is the work of strip. Now, if I have any other word, let's say word 2 is equal to, I have this, hello, and this. Let's say I have this word, hello. And now what I can do with this word dot split, sorry, word 2. Strip. Now you can notice that it did not work. When I use strip here on the word 2, it did not work. What I wanted to do, to remove these dollar symbols. That is what we wanted to do. But the work of strip is that by default, it just looks for the spaces. That is only the thing it will remove by default. But in the case, if I want to remove these dollar symbols or any other thing, any other character, any other symbol, whatever it is, if I want to remove that, I will now mention it here inside the strip. We are saying that from the word to strip this character. So now it will search for this character, whether it is present at the end and the start, both the places it will go. And if it is present there, it is going to do that. Correct? Now, if I have a dollar, let's say in the middle, dollar in the middle. Now you can see it has not stripped out the dollar from the middle. Now what should we do in that case? Just I have this thing, try it out and send me the answer that what should we do in this case. If I have word 2, I did the strip, but it stripped the first and the last one. The middle one, it did not strip. What should we do in that case? Can just anyone make a guess? What should we do here? First, I'll apply strip, and then I'll store that in the word 2. That is the first thing I should do. But how do I remove this dollar? Whatever you think, just make a guess. How to remove this dollar? Just got one answer. Anyone else? Won't work. So now what should we do? Let's say I have done the strip first. With strip, what has happened? This is gone now. The starting and the end one has gone, the dollar. The one that is left is in the middle. So what we should do? A normal replace. What we will do with replace, we'll say a dollar. There can be multiple ways to do this process, but the best way to do is this. We say dollar and replace with nothing. You can see here, I have written this double quotes, and in double quotes, in the middle, there is not anything, not even a space. You can see they are very close to each other. Just I have created a double quotes that is empty, completely empty. So what will happen is this dollar, which is in the middle, will be replaced by empty character. So empty character will not take any space. If I would have said that there is a space, it would do that space there, but now you can see. So what has happened? We had a dirty text and we have cleaned that dirty text by using strip and replace. And this case you will see many times. Many times when you copy any article from the internet, it is going to have problems like this. So if you want to clean out that text, this is the process you can perform. Correct? That is the thing. Now you can take other steps also. You can go to that location using indexing and other thing, but this is the easiest way to do that. Now after strip, you have split and 2-3 things are there. Then we'll talk about another data type. Let's see what happens in split. So if I say now a new word is equal to, let's say Python is a programming language. This is the word we have. What we do with split, let's apply that. We'll see the output. Dot split. What it is going to do, it will split all the words which are there in that text. How it is going to split all the text? It is going to find a delimiter. What is a delimiter? Delimiters are this comma, this dot, or this, you can say the space which is there, and this dash or hyphens. Whatever these things are, these are considered to be delimiters. So what we can do now in this case is, when we say new word dot split, how it is splitting the whole text. First, it has split the whole text and it has made a list of these text. It is another data type. This data type, you can see here, it is in the box-like structure. What is this data called? It is called a list that we are going to talk about in a few minutes. List. So when you split a word, it will create a list of all the words. Will give us something like that. So from this data, we have created a new type of data that looks like this. So how does this split it? Based on this spaces. It will look for the spaces. And based on the spaces, it is going to split the words. Now you might say that we don't have the spaces in the data. We have something else. We have the delimiter, which is this. Dash. Okay. Dash is separating all the words, not the space. What we do now, if I run this, you will see that it has not been able to do that splitting. So by default, this split works on that spaces. If I want to do using this dash, I'll say this quotes and inside I'll put the dash. And when I run it, you can see that it has found the dashes, and based on that dash, it is saying that this is another word, this is another word, this is another word, another word, another word. That is how it gives us the data. And these are all very important processes. Once we go ahead and we do the actual projects and assignments and those kind of things, we'll understand the importance of them. This was the split for us. After the split, you have another thing which is called format. So before format, we need to understand two things. First is I'll talk about this input, then I'll explain the format. What is that format? Let us understand how do we take input from the user for any particular data. So let's say you have username is equal to, how do you take input from the user? I can give the username that is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my username that you are giving. And that is a, you can say static thing you're doing. But if you want to make a program dynamic, you have to take the input from the user. How do you take input from the user? This is the format for that. You say input, and you say inside a message, enter the username, and you say this. This is the message that will be shown to the person. So when I run this, you can say if I write the username, it is stored. Now, if I check the variable username, you'll find out that this text is stored there. Correct? This text is stored there. Now, we will try to understand how can we apply dot strip here to do our task. Correct? Now, let's talk about this. This is how you take essentially input from the user. Before talking about those strip and everything, let us understand one other thing. Let's say year is equal to, I want to take the input of the current year from the user. Enter the current year. I want to take this. So when I take the year and when we write 2022, what will happen in this case is, just take a look at it. Just after this, I'll cover the format, because for formatting, this input is required. Now take a notice what is happening here. When you check the variable year, in this variable year, you have a number that is taken as a text. So what is the work of this input? Whenever you take input of something from the user, whether it is a number, whether it is a text, whatever it will take that as a text only. If you say to 2022, it's a number, but what will input do? Input function has been created in such a manner, input has been created, that it will take the input and convert that as a text by adding this quotes. But that is a problem, correct? That is a problem because the data I have taken, I'm expecting that to be number. And that should be numbers, but this is happening. What should we do now? We have discussed about one typecasting, if you remember. Typecasting. What we were doing in that typecasting, we took integer and we are saying that if I have a text 10 and I say integer, so what will happen? It will give us a integer back by converting this text of 10 to a number. This is the process of typecasting. Now, the main use of this typecasting, you will see here. We are taking an input from the user and this input is taking that as a text. What we do now? We'll take the whole thing and we will put that into brackets from here to here. And at the start, we'll put the int, this int character. So what is this int going to do? It will first take the input from the user in whatever format it is, and then it will try to convert that into integers. But make sure the input that you are asking should be in a numerical format. If you're asking for a name and the person enters a name, that can't be converted into integer. So this will fail them. You should be careful about that. Now, this is the case, and you can see year. And in this year, I can say plus 100, and you can add anything. Because in the year, there is a number plus number, we get a number. Correct? Now, let's understand some important things. Now here, what can happen? If I take the input from the user, the username, what they might do? They might add these spaces. They might add these spaces and they say, now you take a look at username. What has happened? There are spaces at the start. And this is not a correct thing to be done. This is obviously a problem. So what should we do about this now? What should we do? We have the strip we have seen. Correct? What is the work of strip? To search for the spaces at the start of the text or at the end of the text. Only these two places strip is going to search by default. So now we can apply dot strip here, that take the information and dot strip. Strip it out before saving it into the variable user. Strip it out. So if I run this now, we'll say I have put up some spaces and I say 3 and I do this. And when I check my username, what has happened? Even if a problem like that a user might have done, but then it is fixed. How it is being fixed? First, the text has been taken, and when you have taken a text, that goes through this process of stripping, and your empty characters which were there at the start has been stripped. This is how you can use those things. Now, after this stripping out, let's say you want to capitalize this word. So after strip, you can also say dot capitalize. So once you say dot strip dot capitalize, and I say I have this 1, 2, 3, and I have spaces at the end also. Whatever problems are there, it is first stripping that data and then capitalize. Okay. And then capitalize. Now, in this case, what does the capitalize do? The capitalize is going to make the first character capital. Now, let me show you. If I don't use strip and I use capitalize directly, what I want to do is I want to make the first character capital. And I don't use strip. And the input that has been given by the user is 1, 2, 3 like this. Now, what will happen? Will this capitalize work? No. Why will this capitalize don't work? Because now if you take a notice, the first character is a space. Space can't be capitalized. Okay, space is a character, but if it is being capitalized, it won't show to you. So it must have the characters like this, not a space. How do you reach this? First, we need to strip the things, then only we should use the capitalize. That is a better method to do this operation. Understood? Okay, now you're asking how to mask the data like password. That's a good question. But the masking of the data will not be done here. There is a concept of regular expression for that. Okay, regular expression. So we'll be talking about that after this Python bootcamp ends, and when we start about the data analysis module, I'll be talking about this regular expression in that case. It's a very powerful concept, and there are many things to be considered for regular expression to do such a thing. Okay, that is where it happens. The masking of the password or many other things, many powerful things can be done on the data using regular expression. Okay, now I think you understood this concept. Now, in this case, the last thing which is left is the format. What do we mean by format? So when we take input, this is how it looks like. And how do we show the output to the user? Let's say I have taken the input year and I want to show it to the user. I will do print year. This is how I show it to the user using the print. So print is one of the keyword used for showing the output to the person. Correct? Output to the user. We'll talk about that also. Don't worry, I'll show it that to you. When it comes up, I will be showing it to you. Now, when it is a format, the basic way it follows is sometime it will follow the second one, sometime it follows the first one. It depends upon where you are using it, because both of them are valid methods. So basically, you'll see. Now, to understand date, actually some more things we need to understand. So I'll be explaining them and I'll explain the date format. The next thing is called a format. What does this format do? The format is going to make some of the string dynamic. What do we mean by dynamic? First is the formatting that we do the formatting of the output that is shown to the user. How do we want to show a particular message to the user? That is what this formatting does. So in this case now, what I want to do is this. I want to show year. It will just show that. But I don't want to show just the year. I want to print a proper message. The current user entered by the current year entered by you is this. Want to show a proper message. How do I show a proper message? Like this. So you can say print. I'll say the year input by you is comma year. Okay. This is how you can do. And this is how you can send a message to the person showing something. This is how you print the output for the person to see. But now to print something like this, to print the output to the particular user, there is this formatting you use. Okay, there is this formatting. Now you need to understand that this was a text from here to here. And this is a normal text. The year input by you is. After is, I want to have that variable, that value 2022. I want it to be shown. So what I will do is now I'll put a comma, and after comma, there will be the variable name that should be put up. Correct? There should be the variable. But now if I want to use not one variable, I want to show 2-3 variables here. Correct? 2-3 variables I want to show. So then it will become a little bit messy if you use this concept. So we will use the concept of formatting the output to the user. Let us see that how does it make our life easy. So now here what we will do is we will use username. So let us take username and let us see this. And we have got the username and we have a year. Two variables we have. So now what we can say, print the username is, I want to use here that particular variable. The user is username variable I want to use. Correct? So I can use it, but there is a better way. Let me show it to you. Correct? Let us see. So I will say the username is space, this curly bracket. What is this curly bracket? We are saying that put some space for something that will come up later. I'll bring up a data later, but for now, just keep a space for that. Okay, hold a space for that, where I'll put up a data later. And the year is another curly braces. So I'm making a placeholder kind of thing, where you can put the data later. So I say the username is this and year is this. Now, how do I bring the values to put at these placeholders? After that, after my text has completed, if I print this now, it will print it something like this. But at the place of curly braces, I want a proper value. What proper value? These two variables I want to use. One is user name and one is year. So what will I do now? I'll say dot format, and I will say the first variable is username and the second variable is year. And when I run this concept, what will happen? What is going to happen here is that first we created the text with a placeholder, and when I use this dot format, username and year, what will happen basically is whatever is this in this variable will go to the first placeholder. Whatever is there in this variable will go to the second placeholder automatically, because this is the first one, this is the second one. Now, the second thing which we can do is, if I don't want username to go in the first one, if I want username to go in the second one, and year to go in the first one, what we can do now, we'll just say here 1, and here we'll say 0. So 1 and 0, what means that the 0th variable and the first variable. If I had the third variable, that will be 2. And if I had the fourth variable, that will be 3. If I had the fifth variable, that will be 4. Like this. These are the index numbers you can say for all the variables we have. So what I'm saying is, take the variable at the location 1. This is at location 1. This is at location 0. Take the variable at location 1, put that here, because I have mentioned the number 1 inside this curly. And the 0th one will be here. So you can now play with these things. You don't need to mention the variables in a particular order. You can just put the names of the variable and then you can play with the spaces. This is the second formatting. The third type of formatting is like this. I can assign these words. Just take a look. The first one was this, second one was this, and third one is W is equal to this, T is equal to this, and D is equal to this. And I will put now D, W, and T instead of 0, 1, 2, and 3. Correct? These are the ways you format a particular message or particular output for the user to see. This is the formatting of the output. Correct? I hope you must have got the idea about this. And this is the last concept in the strings. We have understood about all the things we can do with the strings, and one by one, we'll be talking about those. Where backtick character? Here, no, actually they use these quotes only. There's either the single quotes or the double quotes. Okay. Right, one minute. I'll talk about that. Inside this, no, you don't use generally the backticks, only the numbers directly you have to use. Yeah, I share the material for all the sessions. I share the material for today also, yesterday also. Everything will be shared. Now, this was the string concept. You go through the yesterday's video and today's video to understand whatever was there in string. Now, before closing the today's session, I'll just take 5 minutes to give you an introduction about the next data type we are going to talk about. And we'll go through the depth of this data tomorrow. But let me explain the basic idea so that you come up with some idea that will be there. The second data type is called a list. And list is a very powerful concept in the Python because of its advantages, because of all the features that bring us. Let's try to understand how a list is created, what type of data we can put up. Then I'll explain its advantages and all the features. So to create a list, first you just use a variable in which you'll put the list, and list is created inside these square brackets. The string was created inside the quotes or double quotes, this quotes, single quotes, or you can put the data into double quotes, or we have seen into the 3 pair of double quotes or 3 pair of single quotes. These were the methods that we have seen to create the strings. Now to create the list, we have this square bracket that we use. And inside the square bracket, you can put multiple values now. That is the main advantage of using a list. When you make a normal variable, that is num1 is equal to 10, in here you can just have one value. Correct? You can basically have one value. You won't be doing something like this, just one value at a time. If you want to store another value, you will say num2 is equal to 20. You'll do this. And now, just understand that what is this list doing? List is a data type which will help you take multiple values together, multiple data you can combine together in a container, you can say. Correct? Now, this is a list. What other things we can do in a list? We can create a list of all the text. Java, and you can say Java script. Take a look. So list is a very powerful data type in Python, a very advanced data type in Python that can hold multiple values of that. What do we mean by multiple values? You can see here, I have made a list of multiple numbers, multiple integer values. I can have any number of integer values. Second, I have created a list which has multiple text, multiple strings which are there. I can create a string of multiple float values, 20.2, this 30.5, 40.6. These are the data we can create in a list. Unsorted any data type, array is called list. Yeah, so this list is a, you can say, a very similar data type as array, but now array has that contiguous location. But now list does not have contiguous locations in this. If you don't know about array, don't worry. But those of you who know about the arrays have the elements in contiguous location. If I know the location of the first one, I know the location of the second one in the memory. But in the case of list, I don't know their locations. Their locations are not in the neighborhood of each other. They will be at different places. I'll explain all the scenarios. So we have this list 1, 2, and 3. This is how you create a basic list. But now, not only this, what other things you can do here is you can have something like this. You can have 10, 20. Also, you can have in the same list 20.3, 30.4. Another thing, you can have the text also. You can have another list also. You can have another small list inside. This is the power of using a list. This is so flexible that you can have any type of data you want inside the same list. And if you make it, it won't give you any error. And if you check the list for, it will show that these are all the values presented. And you can create a list like this also, and you can create a list of the combination of multiple data types here. That is the scenario of the list. Now, some of the property of the list we need to understand is this. See, I'll give you some very good idea about the list with the memory perspective, and see this very carefully for the next 5 minutes. So what is list now? There is a data structure which is called array. In the programming concept, in all the programming languages, you have this array data structure. What array data structure does is, it will create a very similar data type like a list, which will have the numbers. Now, when you talk about array versus list, they both look similar. You can see this will also be in the square bracket. This list is also in the square bracket. But now, what is the difference between array and list is that in an array, you can't have this combination. You can't put up the integer also. In the same array, you can't put integer or float and text data together. You can't do that. If you have created array 1, you can have all the integers inside. If you want to take an array of the float, you will have all the floats inside. No integer here. Correct? And if you want to make the third array, it will have all the text like this. But now, what is the advantage of using list? That you can have multiple data types together in the same box. That is our list. That has one advantage. But now, array has another advantage, is that because of the data being similar, what happens? This is faster as compared to a list. And what is happening here? You can see that 10 is at location something. Now, what happens in array is that we understood that when we make a variable, that data is stored at some place. If I say num is equal to 10, this will be stored at some location. That location can be 402, or it can be 401, 03, 04. These are locations on the memory. Correct? This is how locations look like. Now, in the case of array, it will create an array in such a manner that if the location of the first array is 402, the second will be at 406, third will be at 410, and it will be at 440. But this thing does not happen in list. In list, what will happen? Let's say the first one is at 312. The second one can be at 1618. The third value can be at 1742. These are the locations. They will not be at continuous locations. But array elements are present at continuous locations. This is you need to understand. Now, this is the memory address I'm telling you about. And the second concept is of an index. Index is something that is specific to Python. It is not in any other programming language. But those memory addresses I was telling, that is a generic thing. And when we talk about their index numbers, this will be like this only, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But their addresses, where they are stored in memory, that is different. Correct? So now, this will be their index number. The first number, the first element, these are called elements of a list. The element 10 will be at location 0 in this list 1, not in memory, in this list 1. So you need to think like there will be a box created in the memory, and in that box there is 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 is stored. And this is a list 1 box. The name of this box is list 1. So we'll say that go to that box, take the 0th element, and that is 10. But now the address of this 10 in memory will be different. Correct. That is a different thing when we talk about memory. But when we talk about the list one, it will be presented location 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, their index numbers. Correct. These are the things about a list. And we will do some more things in the list. How can we add more data? How can we delete some data? What all operations can be performed on the list? That all we will see tomorrow. Okay. Can we make multi-dimensional array in list? Exactly, you can make. You can make a multi-dimensional list also. How do we create a multi-dimensional list? Just to give you an idea, I'll say list 5 is equal to create a multi-dimensional, or you can say two-dimensional list. If you want to create, you will have a list. Inside you will have multiple small lists. You can have 2 or 3 or many small lists you can have inside. And here you can say 10 and 20. Here you can say 30, 40. And here you can say 50, 60. And this is what now? This is a two-dimensional list, 2D list. And this will be your one-dimensional list. Those who don't understand, don't need to worry. I'll talk about this. For those who can understand, I was just giving you some idea. How do we represent this list in a table format? For representing this list in a table format, we need to use the packages which are there for data science purpose or data analysis purpose. There is a package which is called NumPy, and there is a package which is called Pandas in Python. They help you create this, convert this data into tabular format. But here you will not be able to do that. Okay. These are all the scenarios. I think you would all be clear about whatever we have discussed today. Go through the strings concept, do a practice of that. Whatever things are given here, whatever concepts are given here, you need to understand them, and you need to just write the code with your hand at least twice. If you think that you'll be able to remember, you won't be able to remember like it. Okay? You won't be able to do that. No, it is done actually using Pandas and NumPy itself. Because the list that is created, it is meant to be used like this. When I show you some more operations, you'll understand that what is the main purpose of this list. But if you want to do that representation, we can convert this list into a NumPy array, and that NumPy array can be converted into tabular format. That is actually what happens. But here we don't do that. Okay. Yeah, 10 and 20 will be in the same row. In the next row, 30 and 40, just to give an idea how it will look in tabular format is this. You will have 10, 20, and you'll have a comma, you'll have 30, 40. This is how a 2D list is represented. For those of you who want to see, this is how we represent a two-dimensional list. Correct? 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50 and 60. These are the things which are there. Got it? Okay. And what is there? This is row number 0. This is row number 1, row number 2. These are multiple rows of the data. But to represent it in tabular format, we use the Python packages which are there. Okay, right. Now, in this concept, we have talked about the basic idea. Just last thing you need to remember is that list is mutable. List is mutable. Mutable means we can go inside the list and I can delete some of the values. I can replace this value with 30, I can replace with 40 or with 400. These are the things I can do. I can delete element from a list. I can add elements to a list, and I can replace something from a list. I can change the value. These are all the operations we'll be able to do because list is mutable. Mutable has the property that it can be changed. Correct? So all of those things we'll see tomorrow. I've given you some basic idea about how this is created.